Welcome to Coffee with the Port St. Lucie Council. I'm Teresa Aronson from the St. Lucie County Chamber of Commerce. It is our pleasure, our honor to facilitate this event. We do it every single month. This month we are at the Port St. Lucie Botanical Gardens. Typically we're at the community center, but it is our September show that we are filming on primary day. So they're otherwise occupied at the community center. So we're happy to be here. It's beautiful. It's open to the public. All of our shows are open to the public, and we throw in coffee and Danish courtesy of Steamworks right there, one of our local businesses on US 1. I have with me our sponsor for this month, and it's sort of that season. Trim notices have come out, and people are thinking about it, talking about it. So we like to distinguish each position in the process. So I have with me today our tax collector, Mr. Chris Kraft.
Thanks, Teresa. Great to be here, and it's always the property appraiser's fault.
Well, and she says it's local government's fault, right? Don't say that on today, although nobody will see it. But yeah, there's a process, right? The property appraiser tells you how much your property's worth, and all the taxing districts really assess their fees, and then you just collect them and then divvy them back out to those people.
Yeah, so each of the municipal governments, the county, special districts, whatever they have, they set their rates. They send all that information to the property appraiser, and once they have completed their assessment of all the properties and assigned value, then they send that report over to us, and we upload it, and that's what we send the bill out for.
Yep.
But you get the trim notice that comes out before that, that's sent out by the property appraiser, and that's when you can begin to start to, if you have any questions with your trim, call the property appraiser and she can walk you through it.
Exactly. And there usually is, because we have, I don't know, I think she says, I've done these shows for long enough, 26 different taxing districts, and you're not paying for all 26, but
Correct.
You're paying for those that apply to your area or
Correct.
your zip code or your even your community.
No, it could even be your neighborhood.
Yeah.
There's special lighting districts that have they try to make sure the people who benefit, and it's called a municipal services benefit unit or a MSTU, which is a taxable unit, and that allows you to tax a specific area for a specific benefit that's passed directly to those who use that particular
and
benefit.
CDDs, community development. I mean, it's
a little bit different with a CDD. That's a quasi-governmental entity that's established to help fund the infrastructure improvements within a certain area, whether it's water, sewer, the roads. Tradition's a great example. There's several different CDDs out in that community.
There are. So, and then even in Port St. Lucie, your trash is on your tax bill. In Fort Pierce, it's on your electric bill. So there's all sorts of different ways to come up with what you owe on your property tax bill.
And the advantage that the city of Port St. Lucie gets versus what Fort Pierce gets, our collection rate is over 99%. The Fort Pierce Utilities Authority wishes they had a 99% collection rate. So they've actually approached us about potentially putting it on the bill. We'd have a 2% administrative fee that we charge for that. But they have not moved in that direction yet. We're super happy that the city of Port St. Lucie has it. It allows them certainty when the revenue's coming in and the bills get paid.
Yeah, because most of it's escrowed, right? And if you have a mortgage payment, it's escrowed.
Correct.
So I could not be, and I'll explain it, a bigger fan of having the city of Fort Pierce put it on the tax bill. And this is why. When it's on the tax bill, it becomes the onus of the owner, right? And we are taking some of our lower income neighborhoods up in Fort Pierce and making them pay for trash. And the trash has to be serviced. So I would prefer it be on the owner's tax bill rather than passed down to the renters, because they have no choice in that.
And it's going to be passed to the renters regardless.
It might be, but they don't have to come up with it every single month, like that. Because sometimes, and people don't realize this, but the city of Fort Pierce has water, electric, and trash all on the same bill, all due at the same time. So people are like, I have a $500 bill. Well, not all of that's electric, but they think it is because it comes from FPOA. So it's very confusing. Even if it breaks it up a little bit more so people don't have to come up with that lump sum, I still think it's a good idea to do that. All right, very good. What else? What other services do you have at the tax collector's office?
So right now, we just submitted our budget to the state. We're waiting on approval. We have about 144 employees at the office currently. Now, put that in perspective, when I took office 12 years ago, we had 74 employees. That's how much our community has grown. I mean, we're the 5th fastest growing area in the nation, not just the state of Florida.
Yeah, in the nation.
So, and we're growing at a faster clip than any of our neighbors. So staying on top of that, and what's really important is we put so much effort into training our staff every day before we open the doors. And, there's people say, oh, why don't you open earlier? Well, when I got there, we did open at 8 o'clock in the morning. The problem was we didn't have a chance to train any of our staff in the state. Anyone have to work with the state of Florida knows that they make changes on a daily basis, and it's to the tune of about 1,000 changes annually that we have to make sure that our staff is aware of.
That's more than 2 a day.
Yeah. So what we do is we try to, in the mornings, go over any of those technical advisories that are coming up. We also do customer service training before we open the doors. And say we have an employee who's had a tough time balancing for the last couple weeks or so. We'll bring someone from accounting down to sit with them and go through their balancing procedure to make sure they're not missing a step in there to help them out with that. Cash handling is really important, obviously. Customer service, making sure that public walks in our office, they're expecting misery, and we try to deliver magic, and that only happens with what we do before we open the doors at 9 a.m.
I think that's a good mode of operation, because really they're only going to remember the service that they received rather than the time that they received it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we kind of have a hybrid system, so if you go to any River County, they are by appointment only. You go to Martin County, it's walk-in all day. So we said we took the best of both worlds. We do appointment only up until 2:30, and then walk-in traffic from 2:30 to close. And if you make an appointment, you're probably on the way out the door within 20 minutes of your appointment time. I mean, that's pretty daggone good. The public's time is important to us. That's why we encourage them to make those appointments, so that we can be better stewards of their time, because it's all we got.
And a city of our size, a county of our size, people say, oh, you have an office here, an office there. Well, without that, can you imagine if we had one location for every single person to renew their driver's license, take their driver's test, pay their property? Like, it would be insane.
6 years ago, I took a lot of heat for building the Tradition office, a lot of heat. Ironically, today it's our busiest office.
Well, it's our busiest growing area, right?
So, we were ahead of the curve, made sure that we had that service available to the public. And it's a different experience when you walk in that than any other government building you've probably ever been in. The glass, it's very warm and inviting. Our staff, is looking outside all day, so they feel more comfortable and get some vitamin D. They know whether or not it's raining or snowing. I guess they probably know if it's not snowing.
If it snows, please call me. If they see snow, check on them and then call me.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. So, well, I think it was a great idea, because we have to be ahead of the curve. The growth is coming, and as the mayor and I, and we'll visit with her in a minute, we can't stop it. This land is privately held, right? So they have a right to develop. We cannot stop the growth. So we just need to be prepared for it.
And to put it in perspective, just how big St. Lucie County is population-wise, add Martin, Indian River, and Okeechobee counties together, and they're still not as big as St. Lucie County.
People, that's another question we get a lot on the show, and I always address it, is that a lot of our, they're like, why don't we have a cheesecake factory? Or because we don't have 1 million people within a 4-county area, and most of them require that. And they're like, really? I said, yeah, we have a huge city of Port St. Lucie, and the rest of them are relatively still very small in population.
It's always fun when we want the big city benefits with the local small town feel, right? It's hard to get all that.
People don't realize that in the scheme of things, we are not a large metropolitan area. We are just one large, very big city.
Growing, though.
Yeah. We'll get there, I'm sure.
Oh, let's not pray that in any
I know. Don't wish that into existence. But all right, very good. Well, thank you so much for being a part of our show today. We appreciate it very much, and your support of the chamber is always very, very well received and appreciated too. All right, well, hang out with me for just a second, because they'll yell at me if I let you get up in the middle of their shot. No, they'll yell at me. But we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Mayor Martin. Welcome back to Coffee with the Port St. Lucie Council. I'm still Teresa Aronson from the Chamber of Commerce, and I am now joined by the mayor of this beautiful city, Mayor Shannon Martin.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good. It's a beautiful day. It's a Chamber of Commerce day until 4.
Okay.
And then it'll be a, rainy Florida day.
Yeah, that's how it always goes.
It is. It is. But we have lots to talk about.
Yes.
This is our September show.
Okay.
And we've got Labor Day this month. We've got, I can't even remember everything. Well, you have a list. I'm going to let you do it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Bunch of things to talk about. Obviously, we're in the height of budget season, so I'll talk a little bit about our city budget in a minute. But I do want to talk about a couple important things that happened recently. As you probably know, and it's in this close to this location, right down the road here, we opened our Pioneer Park in the Port District on June 15th. If you have not gone and seen our beautiful new park, world-class park, please take a visit, take a stroll around the waterfront, take a walk on our beautiful boardwalk. It is truly an amazing park, and we were so proud to be able to deliver that to our community this year. We had groundbreaking for a Tradition Regional Park as well. It's the first of 2 regional parks that the city is going to have, and that was also this in July. We opened Riverland Paseo Park, and it was an amazing day. We had over 200 residents out at the grand opening of that park. There's a 2-acre dog park, there's softball fields, lighted soccer fields or multi-purpose fields. It's beautiful as well, and that is in partnership with GL Homes.
But it's a public park, right?
It is a public park.
Okay,
yes.
good.
So
some people think it's a Riverland park, and you have to live in Riverland to go to it.
right, and it is not. It is a public park. All city parks are public parks. We have public-private partnerships with some of the developers. GL is one of them. Mattamy is another one. They use park impact fee credits in order to help pay for the construction of the parks. And what we love about that public-private partnership is we get the amenities that the citizens want, our residents want, but it generally costs less for the developers to do it than it does for city government to do it. So we do realize some savings there. So those partnerships are great. Our police training facility, we broke ground on the 31st. It's going to be the first time ever we've had our own police training facility. There'll be a gun range on the bottom floor. The top 2 floors will be used for office-based tactical training and what they call Milo training. So it's going to be great to have that here. Our officers aren't going to have to travel out to Okeechobee or other places for training, and they'll be able to get more training than other police departments are able to provide. So very happy about that. For the 9th consecutive year, we have reduced our millage rate. We reduced our general fund millage, and we also reduced the crosstown millage. So if anyone says to you that the city of Port St. Lucie does not reduce their millage rate, that is not true. I've seen a lot of things going on lately about us not reducing it, and we have reduced it. That has been our goal and our policy every year, looking at our budget every year. Anything we can do to lower it as much as we possibly can while still maintaining great services that are of high value to our residents. That's been our goal, again, and we're going to continue to do it if we can. It gets a little bit more challenging because, as was talked about before, we are growing. We all know that we're growing very rapidly. We've seen a little bit of a dip and a slowdown, which I'm very grateful for, and I think all of our staff at the city and our administration is very grateful for, because it is a challenge to keep up as much as we can with the pace of our growing city. But we have seen a dip, and hopefully it'll continue to level out at least for a little bit more. So our millage rate, our total millage rate is right now 5.200, and our proposed decrease will be reducing it to 5.055. And so, but with that also, like I said, we're balancing out all of our priorities, and so we will have more staffing. We're going to hiring more police officers to address the needs of our growing city. Another thing I want to talk about too is we're going to have 2 budget town halls this year, because our goal is to always be as transparent as possible and also provide some good communication and education on how taxes work here. Because we have a lot of residents who are newer or new, and they come from different places, and they don't understand the tax structure here in Florida. And so we try as hard as we can to make sure everyone understands or can ask questions for better understanding of what they're paying for, how the tax bill works, how it's distributed, going back to how your value is, going with the property appraiser's value, and how they value the property every year as of January 1st.
Our exemption structure is hard to understand.
It is. It is.
So, yeah.
So on the 27th of this month at 6 o'clock, right here at the Botanical Gardens, we are going to have a public information session about taxes. I will be here along with all of our staff, and I believe the property appraiser's office as well is joining us. And then we are also going to do a virtual session for citizens who can't come in person but want to be online, and Vice Mayor is going to be handling that on the 29th. So just two good bits of information for people who need help understanding their taxes. So this year, our total budget is $808 million, and it is a 13.97% increase over last year, and that is primarily due to inflation on capital projects. As you can imagine, because of the economy, all of our city projects are coming in well over what we've expected, and so we've had to account for that. But we also have to get them done, right? Because we have a lot of infrastructure that needs to be done. We have parks that have to be built, roads. We have stormwater infrastructure that has to happen. So we have to make sure that we're still doing the business of the city, still getting things done because we need to. Two things that you will see, or you may have seen already in your mail that I want to talk about, because again, being very open and transparent. There are two assessment notices that you have received. One of them is for solid waste. It is going up 3%. There's a lot of talk about it, but that is because of this consumer price index increase. So the 3% is built into the contract. It's a 7-year contract with FCC, and every year they're eligible to ask for up to 4% for a CPI increase. And it's by the consumer price index that the federal government puts out for the cost for services for that particular issue, for solid waste. So the max, like I said, in the contract is 4%, and they ask for 3%. So we're contractually obligated to give that increase. The other thing you'll see is the $5 annual increase for stormwater. And again, all of our costs have gone up, and as a result, there was a rate study done. I don't want anyone to think that we just willy-nilly pick a number out of the sky and blindly raise any fees at all, any assessments at all, because it's assessment, which is different than your ad valorem taxes. And we did a rate study and looked at that study, and it was determined that in order to keep up, not even really get ahead that much, but to keep up with maintaining our entire stormwater system, it's not just your swales, it's the stormwater ponds, it's all the drainage in the city, all the infrastructure that goes along with it. And so it was determined that we had to do a little bit of an increase this year. So again, we don't like to hit our residents with any big increases, so we always like to do the small incremental increases that don't hurt as much. So that's the reason why you have those two assessment notices in your mailbox.
And I got them just the other day.
Yes.
But I think it's notable that the trash increase, government speak is solid waste, but it's your trash pickup, right, for everybody else?
Yeah.
For the layman in the audience like myself. We did not institute incremental increases with our last contractor, and that became part of the problem. So this is going to help us offset, any issues, future issues that we may have gotten ourselves into with contracts previously.
Right.
So, we all are seeing inflation, and so cost of services is going up. 3% is not that bad.
Right.
But it's like your homestead, everything goes up 3% every year. Just bank on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we, like I said, we have to account for the increases too for city government.
And we're still going back to having swale liners. We're working on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The swale liner program has been reinstituted.
Yes.
There were some issues there, and it was originally thought that we would be saving money if we stopped the actual liner program, not the swales, because the swales are still
Does everybody
required.
know what we're talking about? The black
liner.
Well, you're in Del
front of your
Webb. You don't
homes.
have them. But yeah, they don't have them in
Gated
Del
communities
Webb.
don't have 'em.
So in the scatter or the rest of the most non-gated communities, there used to be
Single-family
black
lots.
plastic trays in your swale that help push the debris through.
Yes.
And we
the flow.
stopped doing that, but they're reinstituting it.
Yes, because originally it was reported and the study showed that, or was demonstrated that it would save us money. But then when we said, well, let's come up with the program that's going to, be better. And when they came up with the program, the council looked at that. I particularly looked at it and said, wait a minute, this isn't saving us any money. This is going to end up costing us more. So we should not be doing this, and we should go back to the program that we had that worked. So we did. We reinstituted that policy and are going back to it. So just want to talk about, like I mentioned, about adding employees. So we are going to be adding more employees as a result. A majority of them in the police department, a couple in IT, parks and recreation. We are building more parks, so we are going to be adding more to our parks department as a result. Finance, we are going to hire someone who handles grants more, because our grants team is very small, and over the last 2 years, the city has been able to receive over $50 million in grants. So we're always trying to leverage all of our resources and apply for as many grants as we possibly can. And so in order to continue on doing that and working with our federal lobbyists as well, and our delegation, there's a lot more that we can apply for. We learn every time we go to DC around the March timeframe when session is in. And so we want to try to apply for every grant we can. So we need some more help with that. And of course, our utility system, that's growing as well. So they always need more utility workers. That is an enterprise fund, though. And so we'll be adding to that. Also Public Works, because of all of our infrastructure projects. So we'll be adding some employees to that department as well. But of course, like I mentioned, it's all balanced out. Also want to share that, a lot of people think that you just add employees for the sake of adding employees, and that is not true. Our departments go through a very stringent process with our city manager and his executive team to make sure that if our departments are asking for more employees, that is really justified. There's justification sheets that have to be filled out, they have to be signed off on, and they have to be presented to City Council as part of our budget to make sure that we have a look over of what they are. And we can also ask questions, and if we have any questions about whether they are justified or not. So those are really important things, because, again, people think that we just add people for the sake, and we don't.
No.
And it's important to be really fiscally responsible and make sure we try to run as lean and mean as we possibly can.
Very good.
Yeah.
That was a lot of information today.
I know. I have a lot of
and
stuff
really
about. Yeah.
really quickly too. We went through it. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. What else? Do you want to talk some specifics on any of them?
So again, more capital projects going forward. We have our 2 parks, regional parks.
Mm-hmm.
Sidewalk projects are ongoing, stormwater projects, and our 20-year stormwater master plan. Of course, repaving continues. Everything through our strategic plans ongoing on a daily basis, and all those things are being worked on. We have a new strategic plan where we added a couple things this year, and they'll be implemented and worked on as well. And I also do a newsletter every single month to let all of our citizens know about what's going on in the city. So if you email me at mayor@cityofpsl.com, we can add you, my assistant Brandon, who's in the back there, he can add you to our subscriber list. And again, I talk about all things, not just one area of the city, but I try to make sure my newsletter covers everything that's going on, because I want everyone to have as much information as possible.
And they can get this as well, right?
Yes. So on your table, you have a budget in brief, and it goes over some of the things I just talked about our city and our budget, and where we're at with debt reduction and all those capital improvements that I mentioned, the employees, our millage rate, and then also has a little bit of information about what a tax bill would look like going forward with the new reduced millage rate, and a little information about the median market value for a single-family home. It's now $346,700. It's pretty remarkable, right? But also knowing that if you compare a similar house down in Palm Beach County, we're still $160,000 less a home than Palm Beach County is. So that's why we're still affordable for everyone who's coming from other places, down
They
south
are.
and from out of the state.
And they're coming like crazy.
They are. But we have seen a slowdown and a little bit, and hopefully, like I
We're
said, I hope it
leveling
continues a little because we need a little bit of a break. Just a small, tiny little bit of a break.
I don't think anybody would argue with you.
No.
I know we used to say it's about, I don't think there's a person in the world that would be like, just slow it down, right?
Well, there are some residents who say, stop it, stop it, stop it. But as you
Well,
mentioned
yeah.
previously, we can't.
Yeah, we can't.
So-
We can't stop it. Everybody wants to stop. Even I would like you to stop, right? We're full. But that's not how it works, and I understand the process. So.
We think we're full, but the land says otherwise. The developers who have the entitlements.
The developers that have the entitlement
Say
say otherwise.
otherwise.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I totally get it. Now, we still have the master plan for sidewalks and road instruction and the half cent sales tax. All that stuff is still available online, right, for people to check on?
Everything is online for sure. Also, we have a thing that we implemented online last year on our website. So we have a tax tool now. And if you go on the website, city website, there's a tax tool. You plug in the amount that you pay to the city from get your trim notice, and you plug in the amount just that you pay to the city, because we're only 2 line items on your tax bill. All the rest go to other taxing authorities. So your tax bill, only 22% of your tax bill actually goes to the city of Port St. Lucie. But you can go online to the tax tool, plug in the amount that you pay to the city of Port St. Lucie, and it'll show you where your money goes, funneled through every single department in the city. It's just another way that we're trying to be very transparent and showing you how your money is spent. Because a lot of people ask, well, there's all these things, and where does my money go? Well, we can show you exactly where your money gets sent to each department.
And this little tool where you have an example of the reduction in millage rate, of course, it's probably going to be on something that didn't raise in value, right? So if you stayed at the same value, you would actually see a reduction in your tax rate or in your taxes paid. You're going to see a reduction in your tax rate, but actual money paid, if your value stays the same this year, you'll see a reduction.
Yes. For the
Yes.
city portion.
For the city, yes.
City portion.
For the city portion.
I can't.
I think the county is going to lower their millage rate too. I think they're probably the only other ones. But yeah, but that's if your value stays the same. But typically it goes up at least 3%, right?
It's going to go up because of the homestead. So it'll be up at 3% for sure.
Yeah.
So.
And people need to understand that yes, they've reduced their millage rate, but aggregate millage rate reduction does not equal 3%. So you might have a very minor increase. But again, inflation is inflation.
Yeah, and this is based on a homesteaded property.
Yeah,
So.
homestead property. If you're homesteaded, it can only go up by 3%, and if you're not homestead, I think it's 10%.
10%,
Yeah.
right.
So very good. If this is your second home, 10% is the most it can go up. But good information.
Yep.
I want to get 2 questions, but we, as always, do not do that on camera. We invite you down for free and even bribe you with food and coffee to ask your questions. We want you to come down and be a part of what we do every single month.
Absolutely.
So I would like to thank tax collector Chris Kraft for being with us today. And Steamworks, unless you have do you have anything else you want to talk? Because I kind of wrapped up. You're good?
I said a lot.
Okay, perfect. And of course, Michael, our friends at Steamworks, we love them. And we love our small businesses, especially our coffee shops, right?
Absolutely.
He might have a little bit of competition out there.
Yeah.
So make sure you're picking the local Steamworks vendor. So we appreciate that. And a huge thank you to Gus and Avi for dragging all the cameras down and making sure this all works and my microphone's on and it has batteries, because there's a lot that entails, especially moving the show around.
Yep, they're the best.
They are.
We love them.
And of course, to the mayor, I appreciate her so very much. She always brings us great information, and I love having her on the show, so I appreciate it. Until next time, everybody, make sure you check out stluciechamber.org for our place and time, as well as for this Coffee of the Port St. Lucie Council. You can check the city, which is cityofpsl.com, right?
Yes.
Cityofpsl.com. All right, have a great day, everybody. We'll see you real soon.